He was less than 24 hours old. Actually, the night he was born, the doctor that we had for a pediatrician had an inkling that there might be something going on. So he ordered Ryan to be transferred from Whittier Hospital, where he was born, to Children's Hospital Los Angeles, middle of the night. So we're driving there frantically, wondering what's going on with our newborn baby. And the next morning, he was in surgery and had a huge section of his intestines removed because he had issues with passing his first meconium. So when they came in, the doctor came into the waiting room, and she said, the surgery went well, but we suspect that he has cystic fibrosis. And I had just watched a Hallmark movie about 3 or 4 months before, and I remembered how tear-jerking that was and how hard it was for that family to go through watching their young child die at 6 years of age. So I immediately thought the worst and became very upset. So Ryan proceeded to stay at Children's for 12 weeks and went through 3 other surgeries and several other procedures. He caught a staph infection while he was there, almost died. Was really traumatic, the entire process. But through that, finally, they discovered that it was indeed cystic fibrosis. And one of the doctors came up to me and said, whatever you do, don't go downstairs in the library and start reading about what cystic fibrosis is, because it's changing daily with new advancements. So while today maybe his prognosis is only to get through grade school, it's no better time to be born with this disease, because they are going to be coming up with treatments and therapies and things that will prolong his life. So that was good advice. Otherwise, I probably would have lost it at that point. But that was our entree to starting the whole journey that we're on. So many people, they believe that everything happens for a reason. I was working in downtown Los Angeles at the time for a large firm, and I had a lot of design firms that I worked with daily, architectural firms. And when the doctor called me in the NIC unit, I was there visiting Ryan, and the phone rang about midnight, and it was a doctor, and he said, I need to let you know that, yes, your son does indeed have cystic fibrosis. I said, you can't tell me that over the phone. You need to come down and tell me something like that in person. So he came down for wherever he was. It took a little bit of time, and he walked into the unit, and I go, now tell me what it is and what are we going to do? And I looked at his name on his coat, and it was Dr. Arnold Platzker. I said, Platzker, do you know a Marjorie Platzker? And he says, yes, that's my wife. And I go, oh, very good. So then I proceeded to run downstairs and get into my car, and back in the day where they had the big old car phone, and called Marjorie, woke her up, and said, your husband is assigned to my son. You better make sure that everything's done right. So the next day, Dr. Platzker came up. He was the chief of staff at the time of Children's Hospital, and he really didn't have patients so much as he was in charge of running the clinics in the hospital, but doing a one-on-one with the patient was rare. And he came in and he said, well, my Saturday evening dinner was focused around telling me how I better take great care of your child. So he will be my patient, and I will walk you through this process. And he did. For the next almost 18 years of Ryan's life, he stood by him and really helped us with procedures and different treatments. Ryan was able to try a case study on Caistin, which is a major antibiotic that the cystic fibrosis kids use nowadays. He was one of the first to ever use it. He and Dr. Platzker were on the evening news one night, national news, talking about this breakthrough. And I really credit a lot of Ryan's health to that early on intervention and trying to give him the best of what was available. Well, from a support standpoint, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation is hugely instrumental. It gave me the opportunity to meet other moms that were struggling with the same issues. You have a tremendous amount of guilt. My God, how did my child get this disease? How can I be the best parent I can possibly be to make sure that my child is taken care of? And it gave us a resource center So being involved from fundraising early on, I came in at the time our chapter had a very large event called the Gala. And I thought, well, I'll get on the Gala committee, and that will help me to raise money, because we're all fighting for a common cure. And it will also allow me to ask questions and find out the latest therapies, hopeful that maybe something will come up, depending on what stage Ryan's health is in, that would allow me to get him into a trial or anything that might prolong his life. To take a deep breath, there are so many great advances coming. We haven't even started to solve this problem as far as being able to allow those children that are born today to live a normal life. I mean, to start them on therapy right away, get them with the best doctors that they can find, do their research, but at the same time, relax. These children have a wonderful chance to flourish and become adults and to go on and have careers and have their own families. It's getting better every year. Well, we've been quite blessed with Ryan's personality and how he can handle this disease. Ryan, every mom loves their child and wants to gush about how they're doing things, but to see the maturity level that these children have to rise to at such an early age to do their therapies and to understand the importance of doing their therapies and to do them correctly. Now that Ryan's 22 years old, I can't go in there and be with him all the time to make sure that he's doing his treatments and doing all of his 30 different medications he has to take in a day, and doing his 2 to 4 breathing treatments depending on how he feels that day, because they can be a half hour long each one, to try and get him to process the importance of getting all of these treatments in, while at the same time he's a young man who has social things to do. He's an excellent golfer. He loves golf. He'd rather be on the golf course all day, I'm sure, than hooked up to a vest doing breathing treatments. To remember to take his enzymes, as we joke all the time, because that's kind of my big nagging point. Remember to take those enzymes with every meal. And now he has to struggle with the cystic fibrosis-related diabetes, and that is really put a challenge on his entire day as far as his schedule. He has ups and downs on his blood sugar, and that really brings him to the point where he has to stop and think, you know what, this is really serious. So I'm very proud of him for maintaining his health, because we're all in this together. We, as a family, we all work a different angle in trying to cover the base. I don't know how someone without a big support group could ever get through this disease. The Klassic Invitational has managed to bring in additional donations to help with research for the cystic fibrosis community. And that research is paying off. We're able to show each year new drugs. We're able to demonstrate ages of the actual CF patients increasing each year and their longevity. And we're able to bring the community together, whether it's San Diego, Los Angeles, Orange County. The people with children with cystic fibrosis can have an event that they can go to, play golf, bring their new family members into it or new friends into it, and help them understand what cystic fibrosis really is, and help them feel as though they're contributing to a cure to help their family member or their friends' children. Well, I have to credit my husband, Christian, with starting the event. He was playing golf with a couple of his friends, one of which was Jim Seitz, and Jim had indicated at the 19th hole that he thought it would be a great idea to start a charity golf tournament. And Christian brought up, well, you know what, if we're going to do something like that, my son has cystic fibrosis. We could do a charity event to help cystic fibrosis. So the two of them got together and really came up with the plan. We also discovered that there was a golf tournament that was being retired, so to speak, the Invitational, Newport Beach Invitational. So we merged with that, took it over, and I've just had a wonderful time since getting people involved. It started off in a little the golf cart hut was the first event, our first year. We raised over $80,000, and we were very happy about that. Wasn't anything fancy, just a barbecue after 18 holes of golf and a very hot day. But we had a great turnout, and to see people and friends and family all come together and help to support an event. And each year we bring in some new faces, and it's grown into a significant part of our life. The gala itself is designed to try to bring families and our friends together and new people to the event. It's a very nice dinner. We always try to have it at a wonderful venue that people will find value in attending. They'll be excited about going, have a chance to dress up, and maybe have a wonderful view, cocktail party, followed by a very elegant, nice dinner. We always try to have a great MC like Sean Parr to help bring the event together. We have live band and dancing, and sometimes we'll have a casino at the end or some other type of opportunity to entice people to stay. It's fun thinking about a different theme each year, and we try to keep it fresh. At the same time, we're all there for a common cause, and that is to try and raise as much money as possible for cystic fibrosis research. The golf tournament itself, the next day or 2 days later, depending on what the format is, this coming year we're going to be the next day, which is going to be exciting on a Sunday. We try to bring people together to have a low-stress golf tournament. We want everyone to have fun. This isn't the PGA. So we want people to go out there and relax, enjoy, meet some new people on the course, try their very best, and maybe they'll go home with a trophy, or maybe they'll go home with some great stories. We try to introduce Ryan through the process so that he can meet most of the people, kind of put a face to the name with cystic fibrosis. I would love to get more people involved in the Classic any way that we can. Obviously, the easiest way for them to get in touch with the Classic would be to go to our website, www.theclassic.com, and log on, learn a little bit about the gala and the golf tournament, see if maybe it would be something that they would have an interest in, or click on the button for Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and they can learn more about the disease, and they can also learn how they can help with donations or participate. We also are always looking for volunteers at the Classic. If they would like to attend the gala and maybe help us with the auction items, donating auction items, helping even just the basic groundwork of setting up the tables, or helping with floral arrangements, helping with the setup and the bringing the people together at the end to help cash people out or pick up their auction items, as well as the golf tournament. We'd love to have more people involved in that to help out with running around the course, making sure everyone is happy, taken care of. Do they need a Bloody Mary? What would make that golf tournament more comfortable for everybody? So volunteers are super important to the success of the Classic. Some of our friends and family have been involved with our golf tournament since the very beginning. So to have Ryan as the face to the disease, I think is important for them to see the progression. Many of them have known Ryan since our first tournament when he was about 11, 12 years old. And that in itself was a feat that he had gotten to that age, because many people had the understanding that that disease was a childhood disease only. So to now see that he's progressed to a 22-year-old, has graduated from the University of Oregon, is becoming a real estate entrepreneur, so to speak, and is moving forward in his career, demonstrates that their charity, their donations, are helping to create new drugs and new therapies to allow his life to progress. So each year they can kind of hear his story, but they also hear the other side of his story. A couple of years ago when we had to talk about the diabetes being discovered, And then last year having to talk about how it is really regulating his life and what he can do, how he wasn't able to stay on the golf team because 18 holes in a competitive format carrying the clubs has really gotten to be too much for him. So it's showing, on the one hand, the therapies are working, on the other hand, this disease is still rolling along, and we still very much need everyone's help and support to find that cure. Probably one of the things that I've seen firsthand that's really evolved in the cystic fibrosis fight for a cure and to help come up with ideas as to how to prolong the lives of these young adults is the new cystic fibrosis adult centers that have sprung up. One in Los Angeles at USC Keck and one down in San Diego at Scripps. And I'm sure there's several others throughout the United States as well. But that is a testimony to the fact that these dollars are working, because suddenly it's no longer a children's hospital issue, it's an adult issue. So having these new cystic fibrosis clinics for adults, and Ryan started about 3 years ago into the adult center, and they were still trying to figure out, how to staff it and what they needed, because they had never been challenged like this before. Usually the patients didn't live long enough to need adult care. Now they're getting great adult care. They're handling all sorts of social issues, for example, funding. How do adults who maybe can't work full-time get the funding that they need for their medical care? There's social workers to help out with that. The pharmacist even helps out to make sure that the insurance is paying and that they're getting co-pay assistance. There's also mental health available, because it's obviously a struggle when you every day wonder, what is my life expectancy? What's going to go wrong next with my body? So the mental health department's very important. The doctors are amazing, and everybody's learning from each other on these adult clinics, and I'm very, very impressed with how they've come together. And that really is a testimony to the work that the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation is doing, because that's a problem we all wanted to have. We need fabulous turnout at the Classic. Without great participation and great turnout, we cease to exist. And these children and young adults and adults now will not benefit from the research dollars that they need to find those cures and to find those therapies. The Cystic Fibrosis Foundation has it figured out. It's not just trying to find a cure. They also understand that you have to prolong the life of these individuals so that they're viable for that cure. So there's so many different elements that go into raising money for research. It's new drugs, new therapies, yes, gene therapies, and the eventual cure, those are being worked on as well. The nonsense mutation, which is near and dear to our hearts, is something that struggles for money each year. There's a few of the cystic fibrosis kids have unusual gene combinations, and they don't work with some of the therapies that have currently been discovered. So we are still struggling to make sure that we have a cure for everyone. Just like the Marine mantra, no man left behind, that's what we're working towards. So to have a great turnout with the Classic helps spread awareness throughout the community. It helps people come to the event and get recharged for understanding that, we should talk a little bit more about cystic fibrosis and what it is to our friends and family, and help to bring in those dollars that we desperately need. It's turning into viable research, and viable drugs and therapies are coming out of this. There is a wonderful return on this investment for anyone willing to donate. So having this tournament and this gala each year keeps us all moving forward.